And right now it's time for that time when we have our special guest. Tonight's special guest is Len Brown. If everything goes according to the polls, he could be the first ever Lord Mayor of the Supercity, Auckland. A wonderful opportunity for a young boy from the South Auckland suburbs of Otara. We welcome Len Brown as our special guest on The Beat Goes On. Len Brown, the Mayor of Manukau City.
Great to be here on The Beat Goes On.
Thank you, Len. Well, we're very privileged because sitting in that seat there now, Len, could be the next Lord Mayor of Auckland, the Supercity. I bet you're feeling excited about the prospects.
Yeah, it's really energising.
Yeah.
And it's exciting, challenging. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a job for whoever gets it, and if it's me. Plenty of challenges, but great opportunity.
Look, the people of Taumarunui, they're just going to be very happy.
Taumarunui on the main drag line.
Because you were born in Taumarunui.
Yeah.
In
1956.
1956.
1st of October.
And then your family moved to Otara. But the people of Taumarunui can say, our boy is the mayor of mayor of Auckland.
We'll see.
That'll be great. You've got a wonderful website. I've been to the website. It's lenbrownformayor.co.nz. You're on Facebook.
Facebook is amazing. Look, the website has been great. That's leading a lot of the debate and discussion, and that's really what I want to do, Gerard. We're at that point where people are seriously focusing, and so I want to talk to them about my vision for rapid rail and rapid transit in Auckland. I want to talk to them about our environmental vision and how we're going to keep the streets safe and what we're going to do for the economy. So the website does all that. It talks about my latest views, but it's the Facebook page that's the one that's really kicking. It's the second largest political Facebook page in New Zealand, second only to the Prime Minister, and I'm hunting him down. And you know, there's a constant daily discussion going on about what I'm doing, what I'm thinking, what other people are thinking. They're coming back and talking to me, and it in particular has got, I mean, it's 6,500, 7,000, it's massive. But it's got a very high number of young people, and that's getting them into this and making sure they know and understand, and hopefully for the over 18s, the first voters, etc., they really get in and vote.
Now, we should remind them at this stage, and you even reminded me this morning, it's not a Saturday where we all go down and tick a vote. It's a
postal vote.
A postal vote. So people out there, if you want to vote for Len, don't think that there's a day set aside for it.
Gerard, they're going to get their their letters, their voting papers rather, in their letterbox on the 17th of September, thereabout. And they have 3 weeks until the 9th of October to vote for their mayor, hopefully me, their local councillors and their local board members, and also for their local health board. So it's in the letterbox and it's in a voting paper, and all they have to do is, it's the lazy man's democracy, and it's free. You just open up the letter, tick the boxes, stick it back in the envelope, which is pre-post, back into the letterbox, and away you go. Now,
I always love to ask that question. It's the 1st of November, and you've won the Mayoralty, Len, and you're sitting at that big desk, and the telephone's sitting right there. Who's the first call going to be to? What do you want to change most of all?
I'm going to ring you up, Gerard. I'm going to say, Gerard, I'm coming down here. We're going to have an interview, and we're going to talk about Auckland. We're going to have a celebration.
That's the first.
You better have the bubbly here.
Yeah, I'll have the bubble.
The first phone call. Probably be to my wife. And
I'm here, honey.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I finally made it. But look, there'll be thousands of first phone calls.
Yes.
The first 3 months, we've by and large mapped out what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be talking about the Mayor's office and who will be in that. We'll be talking about the bureaucracy and my relationship with them and our CCOs and the directors. We'll be talking about our boards and about the political structure, because I have to appoint the deputy mayor and set the structure for our political operation going forward, and the chairs in that structure. So a lot of it will be nuts and bolts stuff, but in the first 100 days I want to announce 100 uniting projects.
Great.
Projects that will be small, medium-sized, large size, that to some extent will reshape the history and the future of Auckland, I believe. It could be the new tunnel or bridge across the harbour. It might be how we get rid of graffiti around the region. It could be about the looking after of our islands. It might be about maintenance of our volcanoes. You know, it could be big, small or otherwise. 100 uniting projects.
Now, tell you what's going to be a little bit funny is, you know, you've been thinking Manukau, Manukau, Manukau. That's been, you know, your focus all the time. But then on that 1st of November, somebody from Orewa's going to ring up and you're going to say, oh my gosh, yes, I'm the mayor of Orewa as well, or the North Shore.
The reason why I announced early, well, a number of reasons.
Yeah.
But the reason why I put my hat in the ring at the end of last August was to try and get to meet the 1.4 million of us and really get used to the broad region, bit of a voyage of discovery or rediscovery from my childhood and teenage years, and to get out there and know. So I'm pretty formidably briefed, and I take on a real fast brief. I'm a quick learner.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling pretty confident around the region now. If I can step into any one of our 100 villages around Auckland, that I'll know what the issues are, from the fixing of their footpaths to the sorting out of issues in their parks, to what sports clubs got a challenge, to how many schools are sitting in that place, to how many churches they've got, to what the population of it is, how big it is in scope, what its future hopes and ambitions are.
Gosh,
and
that's a lot of work, isn't it?
But to make this work, Gerard, to really make this work, those 1,000 phone calls will be really about setting the values and the culture of Auckland going forward. That I'm the mayor that sits in the community and reaches out, brings people in. One of the worries around the community, around the region, is that people feel that, you know, maybe this is going to be something that will swallow their community and marginalise them. So I know how important it is for me to reach into all the communities around Auckland and to get them and give them a sense of inclusion.
They feel as though they've got a voice.
Absolutely, and that they know that the mayor who's sitting there has got a heart for their community, is passionate about it, is as fascinated about that small place, their streets, their homes, their backyards, is as passionate about that as he is about the revolution that needs to occur in downtown Auckland to really make us a destination in a global sense. So if I can get that balance right, but in particular in those first early days, deliver some very clear messages about my style of leadership and about what we want to achieve in Auckland, about the fact that I am the friend, the neighbour, the brother, the father, the colleague of the 1.4 million of us. That if I can deliver that sense of community out, then I think we can really get Auckland, the council, off to a great start.
Everyone says to me, ask Len about the waterfront. What's his plans?
Well, I want to respect the community by concluding a master planning process in the first year. I don't want this to be a long process, but I want it to be reasonably inclusive, and I will be listening there, because a lot of the stuff has been pretty pick-a-mixy. Government saying, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And we'll put all that behind us. And I will sit in the middle of that, and we will do a master plan that we will deliver out over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years. I'll give you some sense, though, of what I think is critical here. We'll start at the, we're talking the waterfront. Bob, Harvey, my colleagues and some of my friends talk about the whole of the waterfront. Well, I agree with that. The whole of the harbour, of course. But if we just talk about the CBD waterfront, Wynyard Quarter, beautiful area. See that as a great entertainment, come commercial, come residential apartment hub. But the green space where the tank farm presently is, and the end of that pier, that peninsula there, is where I see us doing our iconic Sydney Opera House type exhibition come performance centre. Not in the next 1 or 2 or 3 years, but in a 5-10 year horizon, something really special there, fronting out to the shore, down harbour to Hobsonville, up harbour to the islands.
Oh, it could be beautiful, couldn't it?
Beautiful. Move from there, across the bridge, the Te Wero Bridge, that will link up the viaduct and the Wynyard Quarter with Quay Street. I want us to, if it's possible, to do a light rail loop around our CBD that will connect down the waterfront. And I want to see whether we can do that across the Te Wero Bridge. A bit of a challenge because it's a swing bridge that goes up and down. But I'd like to see whether we can achieve that to get some real good connectivity between the viaduct, Quay Street. Quay Street I want to be a promenade. I want us to convert it to a broad promenade. It's presently only 6 metres wide, and I want it to be 30 metres wide.
Wow.
It's a great dream. The Bund of Shanghai is an amazing, in Barcelona they do a similar type of promenade. For those of us who've been in Melbourne, if you go down the Yarra, you know, great pedestrian promenades, meeting places. That's what
cafes,
we can do.
yeah.
That's it,
Wonderful.
perfect. That is the connect between our CBD, our land, and our water. I just want, just quickly, the wharves. I want us to leave Queen's Wharf alone. It's our ferry wharf, and I think that's how we'll develop it generally, but leave it as an open space. Captain Cook Wharf is where I want to see the cruise ship terminal. I agree with Gordon Moller's plan. I think that's a good plan, and I think most people do, so we need to get that done with some reasonable pace, and Marsden Wharf can complement that. The rest of it is a working wharf, and I'm not making no fast decisions about that. I will be holding our port shares in total, and we'll be managing that port into the future in a considered way. So, Gerard, that give you a bit of an idea of where my sentiment is.
That's
now,
great.
You know, I'm listening, but people want a sense of how I think this might come together. And so that's where I will probably be leading. But I'll be listening through that master planning stage to others' views. But we're not going to fall apart anymore on the waterfront.
So one day, people in the rest of New Zealand, when they think of us as Jaffas, they'll say, just another fabulous
Aucklander. But I just want to reflect on that for a bit. And, you know, we discuss this in the community. The country does have a somewhat jaundiced view of us. And to some extent, we deserve that. Auckland's attitude it could be more respectful in my view. I think we've got a job to do there with the rest of the country, and I see that as a very important part of the First Mayor's task, is to show real respect and regard and position ourselves at the table of New Zealand Inc. as equal citizens of this country and proud to be a part of us all. Not special or unique or, you know, above everyone because of our size and we're the big smoke, the big kahuna. I have a lot of really good friends around local government in New Zealand, a lot of respect for relationships with the mayors of the Opotokis and the Whangareis and the Greymouths and the Dunedins and the Christchurches and the Wairarappas. And I'm going to really work with those relationships with those leaders and their communities to embellish Auckland's reputation in this country.
Well, you're certainly going to be very, very busy, but you're even busier right now. What's a typical day? About 60% or 70% of your day is on campaigning, and then just keeping an eye on Manukau City, making sure everything's going well.
I mean, when I announced, I said, you know, and very publicly and in every way that I could to the community, you're going to have to give me some scope. You know, I can continue to run Manukau and give it, you know, my support and encouragement and hard work. But for me to become the Mayor of Auckland, and it was my community in particular that was saying to me, for God's sake, get in there and run for this, they need to give me some scope, and they've been very generous.
It's Monday night, the 23rd of August. What are the polls saying today?
They're saying what they've said all the way through, that I have a lead. And variously, it's been small, it's been large, but I want to tell you this, Gerard. I say polls schmoles. If they have me at 1% or 100% ahead of whoever my opposition is, it's irrelevant.
You're out there.
Only 50 to 55% of our people in local government vote. And, you know, so I take nothing for granted. I am just working like hell all around the community, just wanting to meet every single one of that 1.4 million. And I'll do that right up to the close of voting on the 9th of October.
Great. Len Brown, I'm going to wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Gerard.
And you never know, on that 1st of November, you could be sitting in that wonderful chair.
I'll be giving you a call.
Thank you, Len.